Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our show. This is the Artist Blueprint. We are here coming to you live and excited to be live. And I don't know why I did. We are actually live on Instagram now for the first
Wow.
time ever. I just looked, and there we is live on Instagram. So hello, Instagram. This is our first time from directly from Instagram in present time. We are here. This is not a drill. We are live right now, and we're very excited to be here. This is our final show of 2023. Um, it's been an amazing year. It's been a year of a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes, a lot of successes, a lot of changes, growth, all that stuff. And we're very excited to have you all here with us. And as always, my co host, George Batista, is with us live from upstate New York. How you doing?
The Boondocks, baby. That's where I am.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I can't
Good.
wait for the holidays and hanging out, having a good time,
Yeah,
drinking. Oh, who said that? Shh, shh.
getting drunk. Um, it's weird. Like I don't drink anymore. Like
Yeah,
nothing.
so you drink zero. You're actually like
Did
zero.
nothing.
Not even
Zero.
wine.
Not even wine.
Interesting.
Nothing whatsoever. No alcohol. No nothing. I just first of all, it's not that I'm opposed to it, or it's not that
Right,
I'm even like drinking is whatever. I mean, I don't think with it.
right,
I don't. It doesn't come into my space. I'm way too busy to go think about. I'm gonna go have a drink. You know what I
right.
mean? I don't have the time, and it's also a little bit of a. It it slows me down. You know what I mean? It's not exactly like the most. It's not super productive thing. You know what I mean?
True. I actually, I don't like the taste of alcohol at all.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't.
that's another thing. I definitely
I
do
don't,
not like the taste of
if I'm going to
alcohol.
drink something, I want it to be at least, something that, I'm going to enjoy drinking, or at least it's going to do my body good or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just don't, I never understood the concept of having to have beer and constantly and all that. It's
Well,
disgusting to
I
me,
have,
but
yeah, I mean, I have some friends, and they're great friends of mine. But I'll see photos of them almost every single time they have like a drink. That's either a red Solo cup in their hands. And it's whatever they're at, whatever party they're like. And I mean, maybe they're just drinking water at everyone. But um, I doubt it. So
yeah,
it is something interesting, and I think also one of the the it slows me down, but it also don't feel better the next day.
true, true.
You know what I mean? And it's not even like an age thing,
Yeah,
because it's just not an age thing. I never did, even
right.
when I was drinking when I was in my 20s. Just the next day, I just did not feel good, and I realized what it was. And when you have high awareness, not to say like I'm like Mr. Aware, but
Oh,
when you're
short,
aware,
short man on a high horse.
yeah, when you have high awareness like I do, as a short Puerto Rican from the Bronx, and still as short as I am, I'm so above all of you. um, no, but I mean, like, because I'm aware of like what I'm putting in my body and how I
Right.
feel, then I'm like, yo, man, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. I feel weak. I'm sluggish. I'm slow. It's like that even with food. Like I'll go somewhere and I'll have a piece of pie or something. I'm like, oh, let me just treat myself to a pie, and then I'm driving home and I'm like, it was sluggish already, and I
Yep.
just ate it.
Yep.
So I do have to chill out with that. But anyway, we do have a sponsor that we probably should get to. George, why don't you do our sponsor, and then we'll get to our show. We're going to talk about anyway. We're going to talk about a lot of cool things.
All right. Well, the Artist Blueprint is brought to you by Wellness Resources, a family owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. Find out why they are the choice of many health conscious individuals around the world. Check them out at myvitaminresource.com. If you enter the promo code Counterparts because you are our listeners and viewers, especially you folks on Instagram, you will get free shipping on your order. And on top of that, you must take advantage of their monthly specials. And this month's special is a super sale. That's right, a super sale only lasts till the end of the month. It's anywhere from 20 to 30% off all supplements, not just some, all supplements. Okay, so it also depends on how many you order. But again, 20 to 30% off is huge savings. So if you want to make sure you're boosting your immunity for the rest of the year, get that vitamin C, get that multivitamin, all that stuff. So again, check them out, myvitaminresource.com.
And that is a really, really good. That is a really good deal when you think about it. 30% off, and you get free shipping.
Yeah,
So that
amazing.
is like pretty awesome. So as we said and we're saying and we've said, this is our last show of 2023. Jeez,
It's
the hell,
amazing, right?
that's like nuts. Um, and we are heading into a new era of our show. We've reached. We're sort of like in this comfort, much more comfortable now than we've ever been. We feel like we actually now the purpose is so much more defined than what it ever was. We kind of were walking through this weird muck of like we're gonna do some more controversial stuff, we're gonna do more nutritional stuff, we're gonna do artist stuff, we're gonna talk about music and film, and then we realized it's really just about artists and serving the artist. And because we started this artist blueprint over a year ago and putting it together, during the process of doing that, we realized that this is what we're doing. We are servicing artists and trying to get them, to. And I was just telling George before we went live, as JHS Talent Management, that what we do is we try to, we're a management company, right? We're not a booking agency. We're not a tour. We don't manage tours, that kind of thing. I get paid to think, right? I mean, that is the gist of it. It's like if somebody has a situation, because of I've seen a lot of situations. I don't know everything, but I have enough information where I can look at something objectively and make a decision. Make a decision that what's best for the artist. So a manager is the one that's going to help you with that, right?
Right.
And so that's what we're doing here with the Artist Blueprint. It's like we don't have all the answers, but I tell you what, if you go back to our show when it was called Counterparts, and you look at some of our guests, or if you just go right now to Artist Blueprint .live and you go and you scroll down and you look at our some of our interviews, we put some on there on our new site. That is a blueprint.
Yeah.
That is a blueprint of success. I mean, we have Rock and Roll Hall of Fame people. We got award-winning actors. We have incredible artists, musicians, speakers, doctors. There's just a tremendous amount of information on there. And if you're looking for a way, it's almost like a master class, really, when you go to our website and you watch these videos, because you get so much information of not only because it not to boast on our abilities, George and I, but we were very, very aware of it early on, almost probably not even aware that we were aware of it, but we knew that we wanted to ask questions that were relevant to helping others.
Yeah.
Not just like, hey, tell me about the first time that you actually heard music. Those are all fun stories and everything, but we want to know what barriers you ran into early on that almost made you want to quit,
Right.
because that's what a lot of people out there are facing. You know
You're
what I mean?
correct.
And for us, it's we've hit those barriers. We've had challenges, we've had all that stuff. And we've had failures, we've had successes, we've had everything that can happen. For me in film and music and stuff, and even business management and stuff. It's just a lot of experiences. And that is what this show is about. It's about being able to take our experiences and see a situation and be able to extract some data from it and put it together and be like, okay, that right there is kind of like this,
Right.
and this can be resolved by kind of like doing this, you
Right.
know.
Right. Right.
And I think that's the key thing.
When you look, it's funny when you look at our show and you go back and look at those guests, especially at the beginning, and because again, you're right. This show is part of that blueprint. Those guests, especially the big ones, were just a thought. They were just a thought. I remember texting John and talking to John back in those days. Back in those days, what was it, like 3 years ago? And I
Yeah.
was like, John, I'm going to reach out to this one. I'm going to reach out to that one. And there was no idea in my head of like, I must have this person on the show. I was just going to say, you
Right.
know what, whatever happens, happens. I'm going to
Right.
reach out, but nothing's going to happen if I don't reach out. Nothing's going to
Correct.
happen if I don't make that decision, make that first step, right?
Right.
And then I remember driving one and right before I was going to drive, I texted John a picture of Lee Haney, which is eight-time Mr. Olympia, greatest bodybuilder of all time, many consider. And I said, John, guess who might be on our show? And he was like, "What?"
I
And
was flipping
and I
out.
got the answer later on that day, and he agreed to be on the show, and I was shocked. And then
Yeah.
from that point on, I said, you know what? There's really no boundaries. I can reach out to whoever, and I can, get. And sure enough, it really started to snowball where we started to get other big people, and then the publicists got involved, and they started sending us people, and all of a sudden it exploded into this thing. It all started with one little spark of a thought that said, you know what? Let's just reach out and see what happens.
Yeah, and that was like, I also took it because I'm supportive person, and I was just like, you know what, why not?
Why not?
Why not? Go out and do it. And we were still, we were coming out of a really rough period during that whole time, and it's one of those things where it's why not? Why
Yeah.
not them come on? And we have people coming on. And it's just like whoa, just like unbelievable. And for next year, we have some people on the that are not confirmed yet, but the conversations have happened, and they're interested, and it's just a matter of scheduling.
Yep.
And
Yep.
because our show is live, it makes it a little bit more challenging. But George and I have decided that we're going to, we'll bring the show live on that Tuesday night, but it might be a pre-recorded one only
Right.
because the artist may be, out of town or another side of the country or whatever, wherever they are. But still, I want to be able to have the interview, and I'm not going to
Yep.
say like, oh, well, if you're not available during our time. We're not there yet.
Right.
We will get there where people, it's like, well, this is when it is, and we'll be like, and De Niro will be like, I'll be there. He's
I'll
got to be
fly
there.
in.
Yeah, I'll fly in to be there for you guys. Oh yeah. Um, yeah. So I think that's an incredible story, really.
Yeah.
And again, it's part of the artist blueprint. Like
Yep.
we are living in the artist blueprint because we are the artists that are doing all these things. With the podcast, especially. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been asked to speak at Zoom meetings for classes on podcasting. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And it's such an interesting conversation because
Yeah.
and then you get questions of you think, oh, they're gonna know this, but people don't. They
Right.
don't. It's still fairly new, even though there's podcasts being launched every day, like thousands of them being launched every single day. But the percentage of the ones that have even a second episode drops like ridiculously, and
Very
then the
true.
ones that are there a year later are even less than that.
Yep.
So this is the thing that we talk about where consistency, and this is what I talk to my artists about all the time, is like consistency is going to get you there.
Yep.
If you say you're going to do a post at 10 o'clock in the morning every day for a year, then you better have 365 posts for that year, because you miss one, you lose trust, and
Right.
people then don't take you seriously, and that becomes an issue.
Yep.
That hurts the brand. So we are living in the artist blueprint right now, which is awesome. It's so
Yeah.
it's so cool. We're
Amazing.
we're we're live. I'm looking at it right now. live on there on Instagram. We're live over here on Zoom. So this is great. I
That's
mean,
amazing, huh?
yeah, and I just gotta real quickly want to give a shout out to StreamYard that we've been a member. I guess we're members.
Brilliant part.
We've been part of subscribers
Hmm.
to StreamYard now for almost. I've been at least for 3 years,
Yeah, yeah.
easily,
Hmm.
and they just get better and better with their product. They have more features. They don't increase their prices, with ridiculous increases, and the features that they've been putting out are really substantial features. Like this one right now, being able to go live with on Instagram is major.
Yeah,
It's like we've been talking about it all the time, and I'll just go live on Instagram here, and it's just my face.
right.
It's just me, and that's how I do it. I'm like, hey. And you get to see the green screen and all that stuff, and it's cheesy.
Yeah,
But now we're actually there, and so anyway, just shout out to StreamYard, great job, and we love you guys, and we
absolutely.
appreciate it. And please let us come on your show too. I don't know.
Well, maybe they can come on our show.
Oh, we'd love to interview anybody from StreamYard, anybody, because that to me is it. What's funny about StreamYard, and not to just continue on this, but was that when someone told me about it, I don't know why, it immediately I was using Zoom, right,
Right.
and I think a lot
Hmm.
of people were,
Yeah.
and it is nowhere near. I mean, Zoom is good for like business. If you're
Hmm.
talking about setting up spreadsheets and you're
Yeah.
talking about doing, whatever, it's great for that. But for podcasting and for live and for a show, it just doesn't have those features, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
somebody told me about this thing, and they go, "Let's stream something." I remember them saying, "Stream something," and I was like, "Oh, what is it?" And then I said, "Can you text me what that is? Because I'm curious." This
Hmm.
was early on. This was during this era when I had that that first picture. This is exactly what Zoom and StreamYard. There's
Wow.
Zoom on your, I guess, on your left,
Hmm.
and then on the right is StreamYard. Um, and I asked them about it, and they finally said StreamYard, and immediately I identified with it. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to check them out, and I've loved them ever since. So anyway, good job, StreamYard.
Definitely.
All right, so George, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the direction of the show again. I know you can't really sound like a broken record when it's the narrative of what we do,
Hmm.
and I
Sure.
have to keep reminding myself that it's not that we're repeating ourselves; is that is our narrative, that is our
Yes.
brand, that is
Yes.
what we do. We help the artist. So if I say artist blueprint a million times, it's because we have an artist blueprint here that we're implementing into the world, and we want to make a big impact. We're not here. We're here for the long haul.
Hmm.
Obviously, right? We're here for 3 years, and the numbers are not where we want them to be. We know that they're getting better, but we definitely know that they're going to get better. So we're here for the long haul. This is also branched out into another show that George has, a wellness show, and George has like an amazing guest like every week, a doctor that's like super knowledgeable about a certain subject. Usually, it's about health and
Yep.
maybe a little bit of alternative stuff, but medical doctors as well.
Yep.
Everything having to do with wellness is on his show. So that branched out from this, and that was something that we didn't really weren't thinking of. Um, Talent, JHS Talent Management really branched out from the idea of us talking about being on this show because it was so impactful to our lives that we thought, man, or I thought at least, I was like, man, I would love to do something to really help the artists, and
Hmm.
that kind of branched out from there. We're sort of like, and then it's sort of like All in the Family. It's like
Right.
the Jeffersons and
Jefferson's. Yeah.
Maud and Archie's Place all branched out from that one series, and maybe some other ones. Gloria, remember Gloria? It
Oh,
was
Gloria. Yeah.
she had
That was
her
only
own
like a
show.
season, though.
I think it was only one season, but still, it was Gloria. It was, still came out of that show,
True.
and so for us, it's very, very important, that that we continue to discuss the narrative, our show, our content, our
Hmm.
words,
Yeah.
that we go on. So that's one that we want to talk about. I want to talk about giving advice because it's something that came up in a podcast that I was listening to earlier or late last week actually, and I wrote it down because I wanted to riff a little bit about it on not in a negative way, just to kind of just talk about it in a about giving advice,
Right.
about the actual act of giving advice. And for me, the last thing I wanted to talk about was about resolutions, New Year's. This is the time of the year where people are doing that, and I have a whole that'll probably be a rant, but
Nice.
I'll talk about that as well, and whatever else George wants to talk about. I know George got a new Stretch Armstrong. You know, he was playing for Christmas. He opened it early.
By the way, I saw they sometimes you get feed of an old commercial,
Yeah, I love
and
those.
I
I share
saw
those.
that I saw that the Stretch Armstrong
The
commercial.
Stretch
I was showing it to Jordan. I was like, this was my toy as a kid.
It
But then
was
after a
unbelievable.
while, you stretched them so much that the jelly would start to come
Jelly
out.
comes out. The toxic jelly too. I heard it was like
Yeah.
it was like no,
Uh,
it's fine. It's just it's Vaseline with asbestos. It's fine. These are not gonna be damaged at all. But yeah, I saw the Hot Wheels. You remember
oh yes,
the Hot
Hot
Wheel? And
Wheels,
it
Hot
turns the
Wheels.
thing and it turns
Yes.
Hot Wheels by Mattel or whatever the.
The other one I saw was the Evil Knievel doll.
Oh yeah,
And it would go like, oh,
man, I love that. I used to love that.
simple times.
I know, I know, I know. It's funny because my son, he's 7 years old, so he gets these toys, and I'm almost as happy as he is with some of these. Like I'll play with them. Obviously I'm busy. I don't have that much time to play with toys, but I see some of these, and I'm like, man, I remember playing with toys. I had my Green Arrow. That was
Green Arrow,
my
yeah.
favorite. My favorite action figure was Green Arrow, and I had a Batman. I also had a Dr. McCoy that I think your mom bought me.
Well, probably,
I think
probably.
she bought me a Dr. McCoy, and I loved it. I was like, so I had the Doctor, I had a Green Arrow, and I had a Batman. Those were my three figures that I.
My mine were Kirk and Spock,
Yeah.
and then I don't know if you remember the alien with the big head that
Oh yeah, yeah.
they
The
actually had a doll
little
of that.
mouth. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The little
they had
mouth.
a
Yeah, yeah,
doll of
yeah.
that, so they had that one as
It
well.
barely. It didn't talk at all. It was sort of
Right.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, damn. That's brings back memories. But it's interesting because I remember those action figures, and they were like really well made. They had like the
Yeah.
rubber band on the inside of the body that held
That's right.
the arms and everything, right?
Hmm.
And
Even
they
their
also,
even their
I was
wrists
just gonna
would
say,
would move.
we both did
They
this.
had a little thing there.
Yeah, yeah. They had articulated wrists
Yeah.
and elbows, and everything was in the knees, even the foot
The foot. Yeah.
foot,
Hmm.
with like that. Now it's like you got these four stiff things, and they just move like this, and I'm like, you guys are whack, But yeah,
Make them like they used to.
so so I went to what's that famous toy store in New York?
Oh,
Aro
FAO
Schwartz,
Schwartz.
FAO Schwartz. I go to FAO Schwartz one day, and I was by myself. I was walking through. I used to go to auditions all the time, and
Yeah.
sometimes and I had an hour between auditions, so I would go in there, and I was looking at the toys, and behind the glass, they had all these classic action figures, like in the box and everything. So
Nice.
I saw a Green Arrow, and I don't haven't had that in years. Obviously I lost it when I moved from I don't know, from some apartment. My grandma, I think, threw it out. Abuelita, pero por qué? Um, so I saw it, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, I gotta freaking get this thing.
Right.
So I go and I'm looking and stuff, and I'm looking at the price for this. It was 1970. It was like 1978 or something. Green Arrow. It was $750.
Holy.
And this was years ago. I mean, this was probably in 2005 or something, 2000 to 10. Um, and I was
Unbelievable.
like, and then luckily I didn't ask somebody to, any questions, and take it because it's in the box. It's in the
Right.
original box, and
Right.
it looked brand new, And so, but then I'm thinking to myself, and this is going to be a toy episode because this is the Christmas season.
That's true.
Um, so then I'm thinking to myself, why, like Mattel and Hasbro and all these Parker Brothers, all the toy makers and stuff, why don't they get together and do a classic series and bring back those characters, not in the cheesy, made in China crappy ways. I mean, you can make them in China, okay, make them any way you want, but make them with those types of things. You could charge a little bit more for them because in say, yeah, full articulation on all the limbs. I don't care. Do whatever you got to do, but do it. And then you could charge a little bit more. But how many parents like me and you are gonna go out and buy? I would buy. I'll buy a Green Arrow for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
True.
buy one to
Yeah.
keep, and I'll have one. I'll have it right here. I'll play with it right here. And how many parents, grandparents, because I'm a grandparent age, technically, even though I have young kids, but grandparents could be my age. You know what I
Right.
mean?
True.
They see that they go, oh, I got to get one of those for my grandkids because I had one. They'll make a it's a huge market.
That's a great idea because you can
I think
market
so
it that
too.
way. You can
You
actually
market
market
that
it
way.
as toys for the
You can listen.
adults.
I see the commercial already,
Right.
right?
That's
Remember, I
beautiful.
see the commercial. A guy is walking by a toy store, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "I had that when I was a kid, the same exact one." He goes, "That's right. We now make, that's right.
With
You
the
know,
voice and everything.
yeah, you have to have the voice. That's right, Gary. We now make these actual, they're the classic toys that you remember as a child. Oh, I can't wait till my grandson sees this. But wait, there's more. We also have Batgirl, classic Batgirl for your granddaughter. Oh my God, this is amazing. That's right, Gary. And then bring it to the kid. I mean, how excited are those kids going to be, and how excited are the adults going to be? And the grandkids, right? The grandfather will get it for their grandkids, but the parents that also play with them because the grandfather, he could buy. I mean, it's just a huge thing. But they're so into try to lower the cost of everything. Everything has to be made cheap
Yeah.
and fast, and just get it out and get the money and go. And there's no real thought put into creating toys anymore. And I'm sure there's some companies that do, but overall, I mean, look at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Toys R
Yeah.
Us. What happened to Toys R Us? They lost because why? They didn't think. I don't know who's that big giraffe from Toys R Us, man. He fired immediately with that big long neck. He couldn't see the internet coming.
I know, right?
So for me, I think that they lost it as soon as they said the internet is not going to impact their business. That was
They
what they
actually
said.
made that statement, right?
Yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
said that parents and kids are always going to want to go to a brick and mortar store to buy the toys. They're not going to be buying toys online. They're just not. And now you start thinking about what Toys R Us was to us as kids growing up. I mean, Toys R Us was that that was our Disneyland.
Right.
You go to Toys R Us and it's a day out. You're just like you're overwhelmed with how many toys are in there. So it was not only a popular toy store, but it was also a brand.
Right.
And the branding of it could have been branded on. They could have had toy competition. They could have done a Rubik's Cube competition sponsored by Toys R Us. They could have done all this stuff online, and they could have sold their toys online. They could have actually created a whole section of just toys online and brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and they lost to Amazon because everybody was like, there's 10 inches of snow outside. Amazon says they'll deliver it in 23 minutes. Is that right? Okay,
But
so
but
twice.
in a way I understand because there's nothing that well, to me, it doesn't replace the feeling of going to the toy
No,
store.
the sentiment
Yes.
is there, but the business sense
The
is not.
business side, right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you
The
have to be
sentiment,
smart
of
about it.
course.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to take your kids out and they see something that they want, and then they want 10 things, and then they cry and they break down and have a tantrum. That's always a wonderful thing to experience. But I think that they lost, they lost opportunities, But anyway, I digress. Toys R Us. I think the brand is still available, and I think that you
Well,
can
it
go.
is actually. I went into a Toys R Us 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? So look at that.
Yeah,
So
but
they
it
still
was in a mall.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there are some of them that are still available, and I think someone said that they were actually going to be coming back again. Somebody purchased the brand, which
Okay.
makes total sense. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
if they can do it
anybody
right,
could
maybe.
purchase that brand. I mean, I'm surprised that this guy, what's his name, the Amazon guy, um,
Bezos.
Bezos didn't purchase it because just put Toys R Us stuff and just throw out Amazon packages and just put Toys R Us labels on everything, and it's a Toys R Us section of Amazon. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like,
True.
so I'm surprised they didn't because it is a valuable, especially for our generation. I think it's a valuable.
Well, even my daughter, she used to go to Toys R Us as a kid all the time. That was one of
Yeah,
her treats, you know. So
yeah,
I'm glad she got to experience that though.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
Anyway,
anyway,
so
so
the
our
artist
show is
blueprint, right? We
the
help the
artist. We're
artists.
talking about the artist blueprint, right? Um, so well, there is this does actually sort of match up in a sense because it
Yeah,
is toys are created by creative people and they're artists, right?
true, true.
And Green Arrow is a character that was drawn very very well, DC Comics, right? Um, Batman. So, but one of the things I wanted to talk about, the first thing. Do you have anything specifically that you wanted to talk about?
No,
No,
I'm
we
very
talked about.
interested in your topics of not only toy making, but giving advice on toy making and
Well, as an elf, I walked into a I'm doing consulting for an office in here, and I walked in because they were doing like an event over the weekend. So I went to go visit, and the guy was dressed as Santa. One of the guys there, really really cool guy, and the girls that worked there, they were dressed as elves. So I walked in, and then they were doing pictures, and they said, "Oh, you want?" They say, "John, you want a picture with Santa?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, the original elf. Let's go." And everybody laughed.
awesome.
That was kind of funny. It wasn't as funny when you say it out loud,
Well, somebody was going to say it.
but in the moment,
It's
I
better that
said
you
it.
said it.
No, I think you know what? Being short, right? I always feel that it's much easier to say it because I think people might feel uncomfortable and they may think they want to say it, but they don't. And I'm just like, you know what? I've been short a very long time. My wife is 5'10", so it shows you how much I care about being short. My daughter already towers over me. You know what I mean? So I have nothing on it. Plus, people who make short jokes are really they're not funny. Like very very few jokes that are height jokes are. It's really hard to be funny making those kinds of jokes. Now, if you're short and you make the joke, then it's funny. Like if I'm somewhere and somebody says, "Can somebody get me this?" And I'm saying, "I'll get it." I say that.
Right,
And everybody laughs.
right.
Suddenly there's a relaxing tone in the room. If it's a room where people don't know me or they don't, it's not a comfortable thing, then they feel like, okay, he has nothing on this,
Right.
and it's okay, and I feel better. You know what I mean? And it just makes it easier. Anyway,
But it's also good because you don't get the brain damage that a tall person like me gets every time he hits his head. On-
well, you had like
I've had
I mean, you're tall, but I never understood. I mean, you're not like 7 feet.
no,
You're
but
like what, 6'1" or something?
it's like stupidity and clumsiness mixed into one. So
Like if I
you
was
know,
at least I wouldn't be bashing my head too often.
and I make a joke of it too, by the way, and
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
it
yeah,
eases the room.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, usually I'll say something like, what's something that no one has ever told me? Watch your head, John.
right,
Stuff like that.
exactly.
So, all right.
Yeah,
So
John.
I wanted to talk about my first topic, and it has to do with moving forward into artist blueprint, um, and the JHS talent management, because giving advice, right? And one of the things about giving advice that's kind of interesting is that you can't go anywhere online now without somebody trying to give you some sort of advice, make you feel guilty about what you're doing, or giving you a way that you got to get out there and do it. And I think for the most part, everybody, it's really a sincere thing.
Hmm.
People do want to be motivated and they want something, and but at the same time, you get so bombarded with that. At some point, you get sick of hearing
Yes.
the same kind of crap
Yes.
because you're also being. Oh, it's some and this is something that we talked about in an episode before, and about being preachy,
Right.
right? And the difference between giving someone actual advice or an actual path that they can take, where there's a tangible structure that they can implement that actually will achieve a goal,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that becomes very difficult if in a sea of everyone saying, what you got to do is not care what anybody thinks. You
Right.
get out there and you do you. And there's just so much of that.
Hmm.
And it's not articulated differently. I try to articulate things as different as I possibly can when I'm talking to someone on consulting something. I try to come up with different scenarios, different wordings. I don't want to use crush it. I don't want to say go out and get it. Get it. You got to be you. You got to do you. You got to be. I don't want to say what. I try to be as creative as possible on those, on explaining these things because it's gonna get lost in the sea of the same exact thing.
Right.
So building a narrative for Artist Blueprint Live, we want to make sure that we're giving tangible, workable techniques and tools and methods of operating, not just from us, but from our guests. Our
Right.
guests are also providing tremendous gifts really to us that people can implement, but that they can wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do that thing that he said.
Yeah. Yes.
Not
Yes.
I'm going to go up and I'm going to feel better about myself because he said you could go out and do it. you
Right.
know like
Yeah.
I and sometimes it's harsh. Sometimes what I say is harsh. Like I told someone the other day. They said, well, it's just I'm she said, I'm tired, and I'm tired in the morning, in the morning, and it's hard for me to get all these things done because and at the end of the day, I said, listen, I know about tired. I
Hmm.
got two kids, I got a lot of things going on. I know about tired. My wife can tell you about tired. We're tired. At the end of the day, and that's an expression that I hate, but I'm going to say it now. Nobody really cares that you're tired. The world is going to keep going.
Right.
The person that's in front of you is gonna keep on trucking. They ain't gonna wait for you. They're gonna just keep on moving, and you're gonna sit back there and you're gonna say, "Well, I'm tired." And there are people that can trick. And this is another thing that I said that can upset people. People can trick themselves into thinking that they're happy.
Hmm.
They can trick themselves into thinking and saying that they're happy. But it's much easier to trick yourself because they know that they didn't do the work.
Right.
They know you didn't do the work that you needed to do, that you could have done. And I'm guilty of that. There are moments that I've wasted. I know that I throughout the years that I didn't do what I really knew that I could do. I was aware that I wasn't doing it, that I should be doing it, and I didn't do it. Now that's been a long time. I've been moving for 20 years without you know without thinking that. But
Yeah.
before that, I was stuck. And so when we try to advise and we try to give tangible things, it comes with a price sometimes on our end because it's not coming with like, you can do it.
Right.
We have faith in you. Maybe you can't do it because you're just not committed.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't care enough.
Hmm.
Or maybe you wake up in the morning and you think, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow's is another day, and you're saying that. If if you are if you're doing that, just know that you're making not only an excuse for today, but you're going to build. You're making your bed for the future, and you're going to lie in a bed of regret. and that's gonna be there's only a certain amount of time that we have to be productive, right?
Right.
Like when you're in your 20s, you're kind of trying to figure it out, but when you hit 30 to let's say 70, right? If you're in shape, you can be a really active 70-year-old very easily, right? If you're active, if you're taking care of your body, between 50 and 70 really could be no difference, to be
Yeah.
honest, if you're
Mm.
actually taking care of yourself, right? So you have that amount of time to do stuff, you know, to really, really make an impact if you want to do stuff. Maybe you don't want to do stuff. Maybe you want stuff given to you, right? And
Right.
these are all conversations that I have, and I pull strings on these. Of course, that I'm compassionate to what a person is going through because I'm not like just trying to bully someone into doing something or or verbally abusing them in
Right.
some way.
Right.
But the harsh reality is that if if these if you're looking for ways or for reasons that why you can't do something, then you are going to build a bed of can'ts. And at a certain point, you will not. I just heard somebody speak. He said he's 55 years old, same age as I am, and he just rode his bike across the country with a group of friends of his. He went across the country with his bike, and he said while he was riding, he didn't see many 80-year-olds on there.
Mm.
They can't get there. They can't
Mm.
do it.
Mm.
But there's a certain window that you have
Yeah.
that you can do stuff.
Yeah.
And if you start thinking, oh, maybe next year I'll do it, or maybe next year, maybe 2025 I'll do that marathon that I wanted to do. No, you're not.
Hmm.
No, you're not, because look at how much time you've put into it already.
Right.
It's like if you want to do it, you get up and you say, today is the day that I'm going to begin that activity. Now, people say, oh, that's easier said than done. Well, then you're not doing it.
Yeah.
If your expression is easier said than done, or that's easy for you to say because you already have, whatever you have, if you have money or something, like they'll say that about somebody who's rich, well, that's easy for them to say, because they're rich. Well, they weren't always rich.
Right.
They must have done something to get rich. And I guarantee you that it wasn't making excuses about the other guy, or it wasn't making somebody else wrong for being rich. I guarantee you that they didn't make their money by focusing on what other people are doing. They just kind of
Exactly.
did the work and they moved forward. So, we really hope that here at Artist Blueprint and George's wellness show, that we're able to bring you tangible things that will change your life and will impact your life in the most positive way and with the most care and love, because yes, sometimes you need to hear the things you don't want to hear, and I do, and that's why I have friends that will tell me straight up, you have to do this, or you're not doing that, or maybe you should be focusing on this. This artist blueprint live is this because I heard someone gave me a completely different viewpoint on what we were doing, and I never ever thought about it, and they said, what are you doing, why are you doing that, and same thing with JHS talent management. I was helping artists, and I was like, well, if you're helping that artist and you're helping that artist and you're helping that artist, and your show is about artists, why don't you have a management company and just start managing artists? Stupid. You know,
Exactly how it was said, right?
that's exactly how they say. In their head, I just hear "stupid" at the end. But you should do that, John. Stupid. Um, so I get it, and but I think it's important to toughen up.
Yeah.
We've lost that. The generation that we have now. It's like, well, be kind. No, you don't have to be kind. You don't have to be kind. You have to be tough. You can treat people with kindness.
Yeah.
That's different than being tough, right? Being
Yeah.
tough, it means that you can take it,
Hmm.
right? It's two rules for happy living, right? Like we talk about, right? The first one is be able to experience anything,
Yep.
and then create things that others can experience easily,
Correct.
right? Or don't create things that others cannot experience easily, right?
Right.
So those two things are, if you live your life through those things, you can live a happy life. By the way, that's Scientology. So if anybody's interested in that, but those are the two, those are the two rules for happy living, and there's a whole bunch of information on that. And but think about those two things. Be able to experience anything. It doesn't say like it.
Right.
Doesn't say like everything.
Hmm.
I experience a lot of things that I don't like, right? And I express myself and I say I don't like that, you know. But I'm able to experience it, and then I'm just like, whoa, boy, all right, that sucks. And then you move on. You move on. These trigger things that happen today is really destroying a lot of creative minds because an you know an artist today, of let's say a 20-year-old musician coming out of college or in college or whatever, and somebody says, yeah, I don't think you got it, that may devastate that person.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whereas when we were growing up, somebody saying that to me, and they did say that to me, I was just like, what? And I just kept moving along and became a musician. We did all what we did. So no, I think that's anyway. I want to turn it over to you because I'm talking too much.
Yeah. It's actually an interesting concept because I've experienced this in my life as well. Like, one of the things that people, especially nowadays, when they want to endeavor in anything, art, podcasting, whatever, they look at the folks that are like, let's say in podcasting, you look at Joe Rogan, you look at all these guys who are there, right? They're the top of the top, and they're like, they see them when they're there, but they didn't see them 10 years ago, 15 years ago when they just started. They weren't following them there. They're following them here.
Right.
Okay. So they automatically sometimes, their mind goes to that, but
Yeah.
without realizing, wait a minute, they still had to go through those steps that I'm starting to go through now.
Yeah.
Right. And this was the concept that I had to deal with in podcasting as well. Like there's a million podcasters on YouTube and all these types of giving all different types of advice on podcasting. Or you could even say nutrition or whatever it is, right? Each one has an opinion of how to do it,
Yeah.
right?
They're all
And
different.
like you said, you can get overwhelmed with every single one. And there was a point when I started this, whether it was this show or even my show, where I was going through them. And then this one would say, do this. But then this one would say, no, don't do that. Do this. But then don't do that. Do this. And everything was counteracting everything else. And after a while, I said, okay, I made it a policy for myself. I said, I'm not doing this anymore because it's not getting me anywhere.
Right.
Like you want to start and then you stop. And then you go this way and you stop. And you go this.
Right.
I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm
No.
going to do my show.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it exactly the way I want it. Whoever listens, listens. Whoever doesn't, doesn't.
Correct.
But I'm going to do what I want to do because it makes me happy. And that's the way I want it. Not because Joe Rogan did it, not because this one did it, right?
Okay.
And that's the policy that I stick to this day. Now, I'm sure there's people that could come to me and say, oh, but you should be doing this. You should be doing it. Yeah, well, I don't know. I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
Okay. And you know what I'm saying? It's that's
Yeah.
my
And
thing. So, and the same thing that happened, like, and just another point I wanted to make on that also was, and when we're talking about sometimes advice is hard. Years ago, when I was trying to figure out a better way to manage money, okay, and I was studying. I should save more here. I should invest more here. I should do things, and I really wasn't as good as I want to be. And I'm trying to figure out. And then I found, a money guy who was really popular and really good, and he was saying some things, and when I really started listening to him and watching the shows and all this, and I was like, this is tough for me
right.
because what he was saying to me was hitting me, saying, like, you're not doing that. What
Right.
you want to do it, but you're not doing it.
Right.
And there were a couple of times where I didn't even want to listen because I knew it was going to be hard, but I knew it's what I needed,
Right.
but I didn't want to do it. So it was that fight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, that's what you need to hear.
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing that I think that especially what you were saying, because sometimes it's going to be hard to hear, but at the end of the day, it's really what you need to hear.
Exactly. And that's part of getting good at
Yes,
being able to express those things and
exactly.
saying it in a way that comes from a place of love, right?
Yep.
Because when you're telling someone they're not doing enough, but in their universe, they think they're doing a lot,
Right.
but you have to look at the you have to look at the products, right? Like what is actually coming out of that.
Yep.
It can only be the thing that you want. If you're so like if I have a donut shop, I use donuts a lot in my analogies, but if I have a donut shop and I'm making donuts and I'm saying I'm working all day, I mean I'm making, I'm making, but I'm not selling donuts. Where are your donuts though? Well, I haven't gotten to them yet, but it's because I have to get all this dough out of the, and I got to do all this and I got to do it. Well, no, the donuts are the goal.
Yeah.
If you don't have the donuts, it's like you were saying, if you don't have the money in the bank in the places where it has to be, well, then you're not doing the thing,
Exactly.
right? You may be
Exactly.
working on doing the thing, but you're not there.
Yeah.
And it's having that humility to say, I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I don't
Yeah.
got this. I don't got this, and I need to work on it.
Right.
And it's okay, but if you can get to the point of saying that, I've met a few artists that have some followers, quite a bit of followers, they feel like they've arrived.
Yeah.
They're at a place. And my question is like, are you supporting yourself by singing? Is
Hmm.
singing paying all your bills right now? If it's not, then you're not where you want to be. You want to be where you're a full time performer and an artist. And that's what we do at JHS Talent Management. Just visit jhstalentmanagement.com and get more information on that. But if you actually read our mission statement, that is what we work on. That is what we want to make sure that people get, is for them to take their lives. It's not saying pull you out of a job, right? Because I think responsibility is a thing. Like I wanted to do very specific things, and I turned down a lot of opportunities to work at places that I thought I'm gonna hate it.
Hmm.
And I have jobs now that I do only the things that I like.
Right.
I only do things that I know I like. Social media, I like media, I like working on Zoom, I like doing videos, I like and that's all I do now. It took me a long time to get there because I had to come to grip with the fact that I don't know how to do all those things really well.
Hmm.
I have to become really good at that. So then somebody would, and I have to then do it.
Right.
And then I have to show it. And then somebody can hire me, you
Right.
know? And it's telling someone those things. It's an art form in itself because it's hard sometimes to try to dissect what a person is hiding behind.
Yes.
They're hiding behind something that they don't want to do, and you have to pull that string to find out what is it that's holding you back. Like, why are you hate your job and you're a really good singer? So there's something that you're not, because you could be working as a singer. I have friends that work only as singers. That's all they do is they work as singers.
Right.
And that's an amazing thing. You know, what are they doing that some of the others aren't doing? Finding that out and pulling that string and then saying, well, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Sometimes it pisses people off.
Yeah.
And I have had conversations with people where they're like, well, you don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but I know what you're not achieving
Yes.
because I can go online and look. I can go to your social media. I could see your Spotify lists. I could see how many, I could see that. And not to invalidate what you've done,
Hmm.
but you're telling me where you want to go. So if you want to go somewhere and I'm seeing this and you're telling me that you're not doing these things, then you're just sabotaging your own opportunities.
Yeah, and it's absolutely 100%. Now, I have a question for you, I've thought about this years ago because you're a guy who's done many things, right? You've accomplished many things in your life as far as different industries and stuff like that. So, what if you come across an artist who has a lot of different interests? Let's say they want to be a singer, but they also love acting, or they love producing, or they love painting, or whatever it is, and they're trying to do all of them. They don't know which direction to go. How would you handle someone like that? As far as like they're in a little bit of everything, but maybe not necessarily like top at one thing.
I would say the first thing is look at all the things that you're doing and which one makes you the most money.
Hmm.
Which one, and it's not about the money. People will say, well, it's not about the money. It's about the money in this sense, because someone is paying you for that thing that you're doing.
Right.
So what is the one thing that you're doing that's in the field that you want to do,
Hmm.
that's making you the most money, right? That could be oh, I had an acting role and I got paid 5 grand for a role that I did. Okay, good. So that made you money, right? Yeah, but I only did that 1 year. Okay, well, hold on. Let's hold on. That made you money. How about that other thing that you're doing? Well, I've never made any money on that. Okay, great. So, but you love doing it. Don't stop.
Right.
You don't want to stop anyone from creating in any area that they want to create. But
Hmm.
what they need to look at is like, which one I know. Like for me, for instance, like I love playing guitar. Now I can't. I'm in a band now, and I'm just playing guitar for this band, right? Um, but I do know that it's very difficult for me to be in a band because I've always had more say in a band.
Hmm.
I've always had that part of it, right? But then I look at it and say, well, financially, for me to go out and join a band right now and think of that as my this is Nashville. There's a lot of bands and there's a lot of musicians. I'm not going to get out there at my not that I feel old or that I'm old or that I play better now than I've ever played, but any of those things is not the reason. But for me to go out there, it's going to be a completely different game that I'm getting involved in, and it's not going to be super beneficial the way I think about it if I
Right.
go alone.
Right.
Now, if I join a band of guys that I like and I love the guys that I'm playing with right now, that gives me a little bit more stability. And we have played gigs and we made some money, not a lot, but we made money.
Yeah.
Whatever it made, you made a couple $100 a night, and I'm happy, right? So I had to look at something like very, very objectively, and I had to look at that. I had to look at film.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think, George, that I started playing music way, way, way before I ever picked up a camera or directed anything in
Right.
film. But if you type my name in, only film stuff comes up and almost nothing musical comes up,
Sure.
which is astonishing. But the reason is, for some reason, that part of whatever I was doing, which I was passionate about, became a thing.
Yeah.
Social media, video content, filmmaking, directing, writing, those things seem to like really, really do well. And I made money from those things,
Right.
right? I get paid now. My whole life is just based around those things that I love to do. So that's what I would say. I would say look at the things that can give you some financial stability, and then you could do the others. This is why
Hmm.
I'm in the band,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
have things that are paying for stuff. You know what I mean? I'm working and I get paid, and I can go play music now. But
Hmm.
now I'm doing all of it. I'm doing those things. So and a lot of people, and I think it's a good thing to have a lot of interests.
Hmm.
I think to some degree it's discouraged sometimes. They'll say like, well, just pick one thing. You can't just do everything. You got to pick one thing. I understand that concept, but at the same time, an artist doesn't really wake up and say, I'm gonna create in this direction today. You don't know. You have to wake up and create in the area that you feel comfortable in at that moment. And it may be a lot of different things. You don't know what it's gonna be. But you do know that as an artist, you cannot suppress
Correct. Correct.
whatever it is that you feel like creating.
Correct.
And that's why I would never try to stop anyone from creating in one area. I would just have them look at what you think could actually support
Right.
the other things that you want to do you know
Right.
and sometimes that's why a lot of people do bartending, right? Because
Yeah.
bartending is
Yep.
at nighttime. But then during the day you have all the time in the world to go to auditions and to take classes and do all that stuff, and then at night you go work at the bartender or a waiter or whatever it is. you know and that's very noble.
Yep.
That's you can do that. But if you already do something, if you're a camera person, or you know how to run a camera, if you're a good photographer, if you can go in that area, then you're in the work, you're in the field of things that you like to do.
Hmm.
And I think that's how I would approach it right off the bat.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
absolute sense. It's interesting how things turn out. Like, and again, it's like for me, for example, right? Music was music was everything at the time we were playing, right? That was the sole goal. At least my sole purpose was being a great musician, and doing whatever I can to be good in which wherever I was going to play. But during that time, especially in the later years, health was a big thing for me, and
Yes.
it kind of melded together because health was like, okay, I want to be healthy, and I also that's also going to help me become a better musician as well, right? So
Right.
that was it tied it together. But as eventually as music in my life has wound down in the fact that I'm not as active as I used to be, but the health thing stayed. And as an artist, again, in the creative process, how can I use this thing that I love now, health, for example, and create something beautiful, create something where I can help people, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm in that creative mode,
Yeah.
and
Doing it with your show.
exactly, and that's the whole point of the show, and even the consulting and all the stuff I've been doing is, yeah, my life it's in a different direction now, but it's always been there,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I'm expanding that part of my
Right.
life.
And
And
you're also doing exactly what I just said. You have these things, the things that actually make you money, the things that are passionate about that you're
mhm, mhm,
passionate about, that will fund your
right,
music or fund
exactly,
your other passion. And it also gives you the creative outlet. It also you're doing something to help people,
right,
which is really what the whole purpose of this whole show is. So, it's you know you have to, when you have someone in front of you, and it's sad sometimes because I do talk to some artists, and they don't, they're very, very, and you can't tell an artist not to be stuck in your way, right?
yeah,
Or not, don't be, or stop being so stubborn, right? Because that's what makes them them, and that's what makes them creative. And within that, there's something you could only advise them on something, Now, if they're doing something, really out ethics, if they're drugs or whatever they're doing, that's really just not good, then that's a different story. But
yeah,
if they have, like, well, I don't want to, I only want to sing, but they're a great guitar player. I'll give you an example is like George Benson, right?
mm,
George Benson's like one of the greatest guitar players of our generation.
yeah,
But the dude could sing his ass off. The
yeah,
guy's a great vocalist,
yeah,
and he had a bunch of great hits. And he kind of was struggling a little bit because he was saying, like, I just want to play guitar because I really love doing that. But he also can sing,
yeah,
so he sang, and he sang, and he became a huge star, and now he can do his jazz. And you see that he went from a pop star
yeah,
basically to then now just being not just being a, but now he's like a jazz legend, just
exactly,
playing jazz music because that's what his first love was, not
yeah,
the R&B pop hits,
yeah,
and he's just a great artist all around. So I think that that's part of the the way to look at about looking at it when you're dealing with an artist is kind of a direction,
right, right,
helping them basically.
yes,
And that's what
agreed,
that's what we do. We help artists kind of find their path, and
yeah,
maybe they're on the right path, but maybe there's stuff in the way.
yes,
Maybe it's them themselves, or maybe it's someone, maybe it's a job, maybe it's a health issue. There's something in the path, and we kind of clean up the path and then get them on the road again. On the road again. And I think that that's a noble thing that we're doing, and we hope that we don't come off, you know, too preachy, like, because it's not our intention. Our intention is to give tangible tools to change your life.
right, exactly, and yeah, you and I do it on this show. I do it on my show. It's very it, and again, it's because we've experienced it also, right? We've
Right.
experienced it. We've been through, and even on my show, I'll say, listen, I don't have it all figured out. Okay, I learn new things every day, just like, and when I learn something new on my show or from an article, that's why I send it out, because I want other people to, hey, check this out. This is what just came out. This is
Right.
what we learned about this supplement, this whatever it is, whatever this is, and But I want people to understand that I went through this craziness, and figured it out on my own. And I wish I would have had somebody to tell me this is the path. I had to figure
Right.
that out. But and I realized that not everybody's going to be in the exact same path that I'm on. Not everybody's going to do it the exact same way that I've done it, which is fine.
Yeah.
And this is, again, my show is not about having a certain way. And I know a lot of gurus out there like, you have to do it this way, you have to eat this way, you have to take this, you have to follow this. I don't do any of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And folks that listen to my show know that it's an open-ended thing. What I do is I say, here's information,
Here's the
check out
data.
this information, here's the data.
Yeah.
And I even say it, what you do with it is up to you.
Right.
Okay. But here's the data. This is what helped me. And this may maybe help you, or you can tweak it. And because I realize we're all different human beings, we come to the party different, in different ways, right?
Yep.
Whether it's health,
Yep.
whether it's music, whatever it is. So, that's really what it's about. Same thing with the artist blueprint, right? It's you and I have done it, you know, and we're just here's what we did, and we're here to help you, and you'll tweak it for them, you'll tweak it, however you can do it. It may not be the exact way you did it. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of you being there and helping them and guiding them through that path.
Correct. And I think that's what we're doing here. We're guiding people through a path, and helping them clean it up as they go along. Now, I had another
Absolutely.
subject that I was going to talk about resolutions, but we're at the top of the hour, so I don't
Holy
know.
cow.
Yeah. But,
Resolutions are stupid.
good night,
Well,
everyone.
if you got to make a resolution on, January 1, I mean, really?
Seriously. Well, that was my whole take on it. And what was it? There's a comedian, Pete Holmes,
Uh,
very very funny comedian, and but he was like talking about it, and I've always had the same exact viewpoint. I mean, he's just very funny, and he articulated it in a humorous way. But he was saying like, he goes, it's right now it was a year ago today. It's like, it was a year ago today, right now. Nobody cares about today, and a year ago it was today, right now. But no, we need January 1st. That's the only day that
or
matters.
or or Monday. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
I've had people that I worked with. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna, all right, so start that thing. Start those supplements or start
I'm gonna
eating it.
start on
I'm
Monday.
gonna start on Monday.
Yeah,
So apparently Monday's a day to start things. Like apparently a Sunday or Saturday you can't do that.
no, no. I've had people tell me like, well, I'm gonna start, but right now, like Thanksgiving's coming, and I know I'm gonna eat stuff, so this is about eating and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm probably just gonna wait. I'm probably January 1st, and that's where it comes up. It's a trap. It's a
Yeah.
cycle, and we can go deep into like talking about, I mean, if you think about the two biggest shopping and eating holidays come at the end of the year to
Yeah.
start the first. So, you're at your probably at your worst health wise by January 1st.
Yeah.
So you probably want to start doing something, but you have to start today.
That's it.
You need to start today.
Yep.
And for me, it's almost a ridiculous thing when people say, "Oh, do you have any New Year's resolution?" Because that's such a it's how's the weather thing, you know what I mean, or what do you make of these weather, this weather, or hey, what about that sports team, it's to me it's in the same realm of like, I don't want to talk about that. That's boring.
I've said to people who
I
said that
know.
to me, I've said my resolution is to never make a resolution.
Right. Yeah, yeah, because I mean the fact the fact that you have to make a resolution means that you're not doing something, and that you're trying to you're forcing yourself to do something
Yes,
because of a time frame that
exactly.
comes into existence on the 1st of January every year. So
Yeah.
that means you're not going to do it. That's why I worked in the health club industry for 18 years. Every January, we had a big sale. February was pretty busy. By March and April, gone.
Yep.
By the end of the year, those people that had signed up were gone, and they're still paying. By the way, most of them continue to pay for a few years
It's
afterwards.
amazing, huh?
This is how that industry makes a lot of their money.
Yeah.
is by selling. If you sell 12,000 memberships, but only 500 people are going to come, you operate your business with 12,000 members, and that's what happens. And I've been with a lot of these health clubs, and some of the ones that, I mean, well, some of them are horrible because they're run by horrible managers, but the ones that were doing well, were the ones that took into account the person that comes in and made them feel like they're welcomed here. And we have a cafe, and we have a special here. And by the way, don't forget to go, get on the phones. Hey, don't forget to come in, and always be on and care for that individual, right? And those are the clubs that did the best. The ones that
Right.
just wanted to sell memberships, they tanked. They tanked, and I was in quite a few of them that tanked. So not because of me though.
Oh, I was gonna say, but I got it. I
As
got
soon as
it.
I got there, I don't know what happened. They tanked.
Listen, sell classic toys at the gym.
Wow,
There it is.
brilliant!
That's it. Genius.
What a genius. On that note, um, but anyway, this is our last show of the year, so we want to thank you all. If you're hanging out here with us, God bless you. We love you. We appreciate you. We are coming back full force next year with a lot of great shows, great guests, um, and just a lot more fun. I mean, we're really loosening up on this show right now. We're probably as loose as we've ever been, right? In the last couple of shows, we feel really empowered now. We're doing it on our own terms. Also, we're not trying to meet up to a standard of anything, except our own standards, which is how you do it. And I think it's important. Mark Bosserman says, "Love you guys." Thank you, Mark.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it. We got our first comment on Instagram. So
Nice.
thank you, StreamYard, and thank you, Instagram, and thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. So I think for next year, we're gonna have a lot of fun, and it's gonna be an epic year of a lot of things happening also in our lives outside of the show as well, which we'll be sharing on the show. So that's going to be exciting. So, all right, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. God bless you all. Have a happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate. Celebrate it with your loved ones, and just enjoy those moments, and really just enjoy the moments, and try not to watch the news, and try not to get into conversations about anything. Just enjoy the people that you're with, enjoy the time that you're spending together, and what the purpose of your holiday is, and really make it about that. And I guarantee you'll be coming home from those trips a lot happier. Have a wonderful New Year's. And if you do make a New Year's resolution, don't let us prevent you from doing that. You do it, and you make it happen, and you stick with it. And if that's going to work for you, then God bless you. And we wish you all the best. So thank you all. Happy, George and I celebrate Christmas. So Merry Christmas, George,
Merry Christmas, John.
and Happy New Year, and to you and the family.
Same to you.
And thank you. And we will see you all next year, as I say. uh, Take care, everybody. God bless. And as always, peace.
Peace.